If I were to teach you in the next 75 minutes how you can build your own referral automatic machine that you can implement right now, and I'm not letting you leave until you actually have action steps, would that benefit you? Okay. So somebody made a reference this morning to Jerry Maguire. So I'm going to play off that. So I'm going to count back from 1 to 3, or count 1 to 3. That's why I'm not a CF. That's why I'm not a CFO. And when I get to 3, I want you to yell as loud as you possibly can. Like, I want the hotel to maybe, like, complain. Not mass complain, but complain. And I want you to yell, "Show me the money." Can you do that for me? Okay, so 1, 2, 3.
Show me the money.
Okay, you ready to fucking learn? Let's do this shit. Okay. If I can operate the slides. Thank you. I appreciate that vote of confidence. Okay, some of you may or may not recognize me. My name is Kimberly Kathleen Jurich. I've been very blessed to be a part of the HTM team for just going on 3 years as a fractional CEO of Management Advisors. Some of you in this room and some of you at home, I've had the blessing, or maybe you might thought it was a curse, to work with me. Some of you have maybe been in my business BIM workshop or momentum calls. About a year ago, Arjan promoted me to run the client relationship management company with my left and right hand, Brittany Manzel, and we have an amazing, complete department, and a huge shout out. They're at home on Zoom to Renee, Marissa, and also Reagan, among others, including everybody in the back of the room and on Zoom, because we couldn't do it without all of you. And that's what you do with your firms. You can't do it alone. You got to do it with your entire team. So I'm not going to bore you with my incomplete bio, but I am going to tell you why I'm on stage. Those of you who know me know that I actually came from a world of sales. Okay. Started as a child counselor advocate. How I ended up in sales, it's a long story. You really don't care. But here's the deal. Everything I'm going to teach you, I implemented 20 years ago. 20 years ago. We'll get to the math later, and then you can guess how old I am. But the stuff I'm teaching you, in which Arjan's been teaching you, it's not sexy. That's why you're not freaking doing it. But if you do it, and you do it consistently, it works. Okay. So a couple housekeeping. We're going to go fast. Shocking that I would speak fast. I'm going to slow it down a little bit, but I want you to keep up. And I want you to lean in and get as much information out of this as possible, because there's a lot in the workbook. This is a very well built out workbook. And we're giving you a ton of tools for your toolbox that you can implement as soon as you leave or even on the plane. But one of the things I want you to do is, as we go through, because of time, I might not have the capabilities to answer a lot of questions. So where's the throw mic at? Do we got the throw mic? Okay, awesome. You're going to be my point guard or quarterback. Okay, it's way better than me throwing, trust me. I'm worse at that than math. So what we're going to do, at any point you have any questions, I want you to raise your hand or go to the mic. If I can get to you at that point, we will. If not, I guarantee we're going to address all your questions. Okay, all right. So let's get this started. Okay, so the main things that we're going to teach you today about building a client relationship management system is not only with your current clients, but it's also building up your referral sources. That's why you're here, right? So working with previous clients, you can get maybe 2, 3, 5, 6, depending on how great that relationship with them is. If you build a really strong potential referral source and they look at you as a resource, can you imagine how many people they're going to send your way? Like, give me a guesstimate. Think about your top referral source. How much money have they made you? Anybody? Just a couple $100,000? A couple $100,000? Couple grand? Anybody else? 800,000? Okay. In 2 years. Did you hear that? $800,000 in 2 years. So what I want you to do is to be thinking about what she's doing and you're not, and what you're going to change when you walk out of this freaking room today. Okay? But we're going to give you all of the basics to do this. And there's a number of things that we're going to do. One of my favorite quotes, first of all, who knows Bob Burg? Okay, all right. Volunteer, yell loud and we'll get you a mic. Who wants to volunteer to tell me about Bob Burg? Or endless referrals? Come on, guys. Really? I know you read the book. I gave you half of, during the basic business plan workshop.
Sam, okay, I can't, I throw like a girl.
Girls throw amazing.
I actually read this book on the way here again.
Not surprised. Okay, tell me your biggest takeaway.
The biggest takeaway is you basically get a system in a box for how to trigger referrals. You go to a networking event, you get people talking about themselves so they feel good about you. You send them a follow-up card, you have a follow-up meeting, you make sure you give them a referral, and that does the trick.
Okay. How has that impacted? I know you just reread it today, but was that the first time you read it?
No, the first time I read it was longer ago. I don't remember how long.
Right.
A while.
Okay. What was the biggest impact it made on your business and your firm, in your life?
Getting referrals was really awesome. Also, it helped me break my habit of going to networking events and talking about how great I am.
Has it, really?
Yeah, because I have an agenda and I stick to my agenda and I save the talking about how great I am for when I'm socializing.
Okay. Thank you, Sam. I appreciate that. Now, where is Jessica D? Fabulous Jessica D. Okay. So, when you play all in, we practice what we preach here. Jessica, you know where this goes. Okay, Sam, Jessica is delivering to you the most recent addition to Endless Referrals. What do you think I'm going to tell you to do with that book, knowing that you already have it?
Give it away.
Tell me more.
I don't know, I suppose I should think through who I want to give it away to.
First of all, and then what else?
Someone who needs it.
I don't know, you got me.
Okay, you want to hack? Does everybody want to hack?
Someone who needs it.
Somebody who needs it, that's a potential referral source that has the biggest chance of giving you the highest ROI. Here is the hack. You open it to the front page, okay?
Okay.
Right before the title. It's almost where, anybody ever get a signed autograph copy of anything, of a book? What I want you to do, this is a hack. You can do this for any book or anything that you think that would benefit them. You want to put their first name and you want to say, your words, not mine. I read this book a long time ago and I reread it. This book catapulted my life and my business. And because I know you are a woman, man of character, and you care about your business. I hope you have the exact same impact that this had on me. And I guarantee they're going to keep that book and they're going to freaking read that book. And when they see that book on their bookshelf, who do you think they're going to think of?
They're going to think of me.
Exactly.
And then I'm going to have top of mind ROI for like forever because I'm on their bookshelf.
Does that make sense? Okay. And you can use that not only for self-development books, you can use that if somebody loves a special sports team, right? Or an alma mater. There's so many different things when we're talking about top of mind awareness, and we'll talk about this a little bit further. Keeping that in mind, that's when we get personal. It's the little things, guys. There's nothing freaking bigger. Don't ever forget that. That is the compounding effect. So one of my favorite quotes by Bob Burg is, your income is determined by how many people you serve, but most importantly, how well you serve them. Okay. Here we go for a little bit of a math question. Does anybody know what that picture is up there? Shout it out. Okay, come on. No, but what is it? Okay, yeah, no, now you're cheating. Okay, but what is it? Cassette tapes, right? So for those of you who are good at math, or you have a calculator, I was born in 1979. Okay, for those of you where this is an area of improvement, yes, you are correct. I'm 26 years old, and please go to the back of the room, get a CFO, and sign up for bookkeeping. Okay? The reason why I want to show you this is for a number of reasons. I was on a Zoom call with Oscar, Brittany, and Arjan. I thought I was big shit because Arjan pulls out this first edition of Endless Referrals, and I have the same thing on my bookshelf right behind me. And I'm like geeking out, right? Super excited. And he's like, wait a minute, I bet you don't have this. And he opens it up, and it's the cassette tapes. And he's like, Kimberly, do you know what cassette tapes are? I'm like, yes, Arjan. Then I got a whole speech on, are they 8-tracks? That I failed. But this is what is so important. When we say we practice what we preach, can you imagine how much that was? Can you remember the first time you made a major investment? I saved up for an entire year when I was 16 years old to buy Tony Robbins CD tapes, the infomercial. My mom was gonna effing kill me. I saved an entire year. I worked since I was 14. And I will tell you, that shit changed my life. But the same thing did it for him. And he practices what he preaches to this day. Okay. So before we get to this, there's a couple things. Everything that we're discussing, you can implement right now. Now, the best part about it, you need little to zero budget. As we go through this session, I want you to ask yourself what works best for you. Most importantly, I want you to ask yourself what is authentic to you. What works for me is not going to work for maybe Arjan. What works for Arjan is not going to work for me. What works for me is not going to work for Sam or Adam or Connie or, Michelle. You got to think about where your strengths lie and your core values and your brand and what's going to be authentic. That is huge. Keep that in mind. The other thing is, while we're going through this, I know there's a lot of questions on the automatic referral machine. We're going to get to that. But this is something that we're teaching you on how you can do it yourself. What I need you to ask yourself right now and put it in your workbook, that's why we print it out, okay? We could just send this electronically. We don't. Who on your team, and if you're a solo, you're the team, can help you implement what you are creating right now and what you're going to focus on right now? Or does it make more sense to delegate this to an outside source, a VA, or going to the back of the room and letting us do it for you so it's done right and it's done on time and it's done effectively? But these are the most important things that you need to ask yourself. Because at the end of the day, if you know the strategies but you don't implement them, do you really freaking know them? Really? Like, how many times have we sat through something and we're like, oh, we know this? I saw you guys. Some of you were on solitaire all morning. Some of you were actually shopping. I saw that too. Some of you were doing business plans, some other things. All right? I'm not throwing shade, but if you don't lean in, don't say you're not getting content. Don't say that you're not learning. If you know this, but you're not implementing, I hate to say it, not really. You don't know it, because if you did, you'd be doing it. The other thing, too, is if you implement, but you're not doing it consistently, are you going to get results? How many times have you started something and then you stopped it because you didn't see results fast enough? Why'd you stop? What made you stop? Okay, why not? Yeah, because once is enough, right? Right? Did you ever go back to it? Not yet. Why? So dig into that, right? That's the thing. We stop. And everything we're teaching you right now, you're going to roll your eyes. This shit is not sexy. It works. It literally works. How many of you have ever read the book by, I'm from Pittsburgh, they say I say it wrong. I went to Carnegie Mellon for graduate school. I say it right. Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Did it change your life? Okay, no. Reread it. There's a second section, if you buy the longer version, of How to Win Friends and Influence People. This is all about relationship building. What we're teaching you right now, this is a long game, guys. If you're looking for immediate gratification, if you do it right, you'll see it. But I'll tell you right now, you are building relationships. If you want to build a firm, if you want to build a business, you gotta build relationships. My background in sales was architectural sales. So anybody who knows me, when they're like, why are you giving me the whole freaking story? It's because if I was off or my team was off 1/16 of an inch, it meant thousands to millions of dollars. And I was in charge of $65 million annually and 45 men, 20 to 30 years my senior, right? I'm sure they loved reporting to Barbie. But the thing is, when they got to know me and they knew I cared about them, they followed me. And that's what you're going to do as leaders too. That's crucial. That's absolutely crucial. You got to know this, okay? But the big thing too is tracking and not stopping. So many times we just stop, okay? Everything that we're going to teach you right now, you're going to be like, oh, I did that. Okay, I guarantee you didn't do it long enough, because if you did, you would have saw results. Back. There we go. Okay, how many of you know what a Team 100 is? Okay. How many of you have actually done the Team 100? For real? If I asked to see it, like in my inbox in the next 24 hours, would you have it done? Okay. All right. How's it improved your business? Anybody? Okay, then I'm calling bullshit on the Team 100. Go ahead.
Tremendously. I mean, building those relationships, having people in mind, and sending stuff to them consistently just rewards itself. They think of you all the time.
Thank you. Stay there.
Okay?
Okay. Have you ever heard of a rainmaking rolodex? There's no right or wrong answer.
Not a rolodex that's on the computer.
Okay, yeah, and believe it or not, they still sell it, and yes, I'm old enough to know what that means. Okay, so what a rainmaking rolodex is, and I'm going to teach you the foundations so you can do it right now, and if you haven't been on the website recently, the Team 100 is there. Your coaches have told you, your crash course facilitators have begged you to do it, and I guarantee there's a ton of you that raise your hands that actually probably haven't done it or haven't updated it. And I can tell you can do it within 40 minutes with 2 resources, your cell phone and Facebook, possibly even LinkedIn. Okay. The rainmaking Rolodex is the Team 100 on steroids, 3 different growth hormones, and maybe GHB. Okay. So we're going to tell, and thank you so much for contributing. That's huge. So the reason why this is different is because it's not just the first name, the last name, the occupation, the email. It's not just the list. What it also does is it breaks it down by significant other, the kids' names, their ages, where'd they go to school, what are their hobbies, what do they like, everything that you could possibly find out about them. And the beauty of it, if you do it right, you don't even have to find out this information yourself. You can delegate it down, or you can outsource it, and there's something called LinkedIn and Google, where we can find a lot of this information fairly easy. And why do you think this would be important that we would know as much information about our potential referral sources? Right. And when you're talking to them and you're introducing to them, what happens when we know more about them? Exactly. And it's more authentic, right? What's your name? Gina? Jean-Ann? Okay. So if I were to introduce you to somebody else, and I knew, what is your favorite hobby? Okay. So if I was having a conversation with, we'll stay with Sam, and I introduced you to, and I'm like, and by the way, you both have the same hobby of driving down, blah, 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 blah. Sorry, I didn't hear it. But do you think you're going to immediately form a connection that you might not have? Right? It forms connection. Like attracts like, and we like people that are like ourselves. Don't ever underestimate that. So look for commonalities, especially when you're introducing people. This is a big part of it. By the way, this is on the member site. You can find this. All the resources for the Team 100 can be found in the member site under the library tab. Go to the document library, find the first section under marketing resources, it's all there. And by the way, any slides up here, feel free to take pictures and take as many notes as possible. Okay? This flow chart walks you through step by step of how to build out a Team 100. The difference between this and the rainmaking Rolodex is you can do a rainmaking Rolodex a multitude of ways. One of which is Excel spreadsheet. You can put as many cells as possible. Another thing that you can do is you can actually buy it, in many places actually, very easily, an actual Rolodex. One thing I strongly suggest is how they set up the Team 100. They did it by occupation. Why do you think we did that? Exactly. So not just you, but client concierge, receptionist, office manager, They're on the phone and they're like, I know Heather Keith knows an amazing therapist. Do you think you could get back to me on that? Well, actually, I know for a fact Heather works with so-and-so. How amazing does that make Heather and her firm look? That immediately they were able to just give that information, that referral off. And if you think that that person's not going to share her name and that compounding factor of referrals out, referrals in, you're surely mistaken. Because that, what you get is from what you give. But you got to give to give. That's the biggest thing. Question.
Hello. Actually, no, this is feedback from members. I don't know where the Shoops are. I haven't seen them this weekend. But Real Life Team 100 in work, I get referrals from the Shoop firm every week. And it's their receptionist, Michael, who is making that referral. I get a call in. They say I was referred by Shoop. I know exactly who was the one that was referring it. It was Michael, and why. It also is a big fucking circle. So I do real estate. Shoops do estate planning and business. It's a very nice symbiotic relationship, which means I have the conversation with the person who called me to say, thanks, I got your message. Andrea or David sent you over. Have you had your estate plan reviewed? No, I haven't. Great, I'm sending you right back over there. So like, we just have this nice continuous loop of referrals, and because Andrea and David's team know who's on the list, that's how this works. So like, do the fucking work, spend the 40 minutes going through your book and putting them in the list, and then training your team on how to refer. So that's that.
Okay. Jessica? Second one. You get the Go-Giver. Have you ever read the Go-Giver? You have it? Okay, so you're going to do the same thing. All right? Okay. Thank you for adding to that. That's huge. That's absolutely huge. Okay, so another thing, some of you, did you ever clip out, this is what I did 20 years ago. I had like really important clients to me, and I had a good memory. So if I came across something that was beneficial to them, I would actually go through the newspapers or magazines, and I would clip it out, and I would file it, and I would send it snail mail, because we just didn't do as much emails. Did any of you ever do that? Okay. Do you do it now? You do it now? Okay. I'm going to strongly suggest you do that. And you can send a link, but sometimes people are, apprehensive to click on those links. Start doing that. Start filing away things as you come across them and they're interesting. When you build out a rainmaking rolodex, what makes it different is it's not just a list. This list is amazing, and it shows the flow chart of how to freaking build it. So I don't want to hear excuses of, I don't know how to do it, or I don't have the time. The thing is, when you have a rainmaking Rolodex, it completely connects you with who best to connect to other people, and also to create top-of-mind awareness when you come across something. Okay. Question?
Not really a question. I wanted to just present a real-life example with actual dollars of what the referral for a lifetime does for you. I have a realtor, and I felt this is important because he just passed away a couple days ago. So he was a realtor that I met in 2011, and every year we've been exchanging, hellos and calls, and I've always sent him chocolates until he told me, well, I have gout. And it happens that sometimes you get gout too, and so we started developing a relationship, and so we changed it to wine, and so I think that doesn't help with the gout either. But the point is that we would always send him something every single Christmas, and to him and his wife. And so last year, they sent us a client that just with his cases, he provided about $120 $20,000 to our firm last year. This year, that same client has paid about $50,000, and we bought our house with him. I have tons of friends that were realtors and contacts, but I called them and I said, you know what, I'm gonna buy my house now, and sorry it's not gonna be you, but I've given you business some other way. This time around it's for this other realtor because he provided me with a big client as well, but we had been speaking for several years. So it took that relationship to send us about $200,000 in business, about 8 years. And we kept that just going and going and going and going. So that's all I wanted to share, because when he helped me buy my house, he was still doing everything he could to send us more. So it works wonders.
That's huge, and thank you for sharing that. And I'm kidding, but I'm not kidding. There's always a little truth and humor. Do you have a really strong referral that's estate planning?
Say that again?
Do you have a really strong referral that's estate planning?
Like a estate planning attorney?
Uh-huh.
I've been sending business to him, but I haven't seen anything
Okay,
going
get
this
another
way.
one, because I'm afraid you're going to kill this guy with what you're sending him. But it's a good thing.
I see what you mean.
It was a joke. It was
Hello?
a joke. But
Hello?
it was a joke, but it was not a joke. Get a good, there's a ton of them here. Find one.
Yes, obviously. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Sure, thank you.
So we're going to speed through some other things. So if you go to the mics and I don't get to you, you can always come up to me. I'll be here all weekend, tip the wait staff. But we will get to all the questions that you have. Next thing, saying thank you costs nothing, but gives everything. How many of you write thank you notes? Like real thank you notes? Are you bullshitting me, or do you actually write thank you notes? Of course you do. So that's what I absolutely love hearing, okay? What I'm going to teach you next, this isn't in the workbook, so take notes. We're going to move fast because I actually want to finish up on time. So depending on what generation you're raised in, thank you notes were something that were taught to us at an early age, okay? Depending on who you surround yourself with. So you're surrounding yourself with the right people, okay? Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. If you went to the tax workshop, you might have found that you could probably put them as an employee, but that's not financial advice. Sign up for the tax workshop. But not everybody does this, okay? By doing this, it propositions you in a couple different ways, but you got to do it authentically. A couple things. It makes you stand apart. It also raises the bar. When somebody gives you time, which is energy, and time is one of the most valuable resources you will ever have, you're not getting it back. You have a limited amount of time, and you have no clue how much you have. By taking the time to write a thank you note, you're showing them that you actually care. And if you do it authentically, and it's actually written by you, how much more does that mean? They might not know that your kids write it. They might not know that your assistant writes it, or your cousin, or your VA. But the fact that they get it, and it's authentic, and you put what's in it meaningful, do you think they're going to think about you more often? Do you think they're going to open it? Right? So a couple different things. If you want to make this work, here are the keys. You can take a picture of the slide or write them down. Calendar block time each month. I say do it once. Some people do it every week. I say do it once a month. Same day, same time. You can have a tray, you can have a desk, I have a specific shelf that I have everything, that has my stationery, it has my stamps, it has the exact pen, it has everything that I need, and it has my list. Do that. Make your life easy. You want to make it real fun? Pay a bounty. It can be to your kids. It can be your staff. If you were to spend, say, $200 just to make sure you get those thank you cards written, and you do that 12 times a year, how much is that? $200, 12 times? $2,400. How much do you think you're going to get from how many cards is that? Would you say? Exactly. Say if we take 10 a month, that's 120. How much do you think you're going to get back from 120 thank you cards? I heard it. Who thinks we can get more than 10? Shout it out. 50? Who thinks more than 50? 75? Anybody? $50,000 worth writing thank you cards every month? Or delegating it out? Yes? No? Maybe? Yes? So let me ask you this. By raise of hands, if I were to ask you what value you would place on having a well built out, handwritten thank you letter campaign, what value would you put on it? 10,000? Raise your hand if you think it'd be worth 10,000. And we're not just talking annually, we're talking the life of your firm. 10,000? A couple 100,000? Give me an exact number. $100,000? Anybody think it'd be worth more than 100,000? How much? 500,000. Anybody higher than 500,000? These are the referral sources, yeah. Because you can do it to former clients, and I strongly suggest that you do. But former clients are going to give you maybe 2 to 6 if they're raving fans. A huge referral source that believes and trusts in you, it's endless. And this is relationship building. I mean, this is the long game. We're talking, there's people I met 20 years ago that are still calling me to be like, do you know somebody who does this? Like, I know you're no longer in this industry, but do you know? This is what propositions you as an expert. There's no price tag on that, and there's no ceiling. Okay. So, what about the rainmaking Rolodex? If I were to ask you the same question, and you had a well-built-out rainmaking Rolodex that had all the information that you needed, what value would you put on it? We had $500,000 here just for thank you notes. Millions, right? Anybody else agree? Raise your hand if you agree. Okay? So freaking do it, because this is where the money is. But why don't we do it? Because we play on SEO. There's nothing wrong with SEO. We play on Facebook ads. And it's not just playing, right? It's sexy. It's the buzz. It's the quick. It's the instant gratification. But I'm going to tell you right now, the fundamentals of business are what Napoleon Hill wrote over 150 years ago. That is the shit that works. And when you lean into it, it's not only going to change your freaking business, it's going to change your freaking life. Because you're building relationships you're going to have for the rest of your life. And they're going to help you in compounding ways. And it's not just going to up-level your income, it's going to up-level your life in ways that you have no clue until you start doing it. We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. Winston Churchill. It's one of my favorite quotes by him. How many of you have ever done a strategic gift-giving campaign? Okay. How many of you have ever read the book by John Rowland, which is Giftology? Raise the hands. If you have not read this book, Arjan told me about this book. I geeked out for a number of reasons. First of all, he's from Ohio. I'm from Pennsylvania. Close enough. My people, okay? You can take the girl out of Pittsburgh and put her in Palm Beach, but you can't take the Pittsburgh out of the girl. Love you already. And penguins. Pirates. They were good in 1979. So here's the deal. You gotta read this book or listen to it on Audible. There's many reasons, okay? What Giftology does is it takes the art and science of using gifts to cut through the noise. And there's a lot of noise out there. It increases referrals and it strengthens relationships, okay? One thing that's really important is there's a difference between a promotion and a gift. And I thought I knew that, but I didn't really know that. A promotion is what you like. If you send potential referral sources or even clients or potential clients or previous clients, and it has your logo, it has your colors, it has the things that you like, what will actually happen is it's going to be all about you. You need to make it all about them. Can anybody see this? Can you see this? What is it? It's Tumblr. On the front of it says, well-behaved women rarely make history. And I'm going to go back to this slide, but I'm going to speed it up a little bit. Can you see this slide? Okay. A little bit of a backstory. I was on a Zoom call with Arjan, Oscar, and Brittany, and we made a calculated risk, myself and Brittany. And it paid off. As an entrepreneur, sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't. We don't make mistakes. We learn lessons. Arjan then picked up his phone and he looked for a quote. The quote that he looked for was this exact quote by Eleanor Roosevelt. Well-behaved women rarely make history. A week and a half later, this arrived at my door with a personalized note from Arjan. But the reason why this is so important is because once he picked up this quote and he read it to Brittany and myself, he told us why that quote was so impactful to him. His wife made a jacket with that exact quote on it. And every time he thinks of women who step out of their comfort zones, he thinks of his wife. And he thinks of that quote. And not only did he convey the love that he has and the respect that he has for his wife, every time I see this Tumblr, there's now a personalized story that comes along with it. So this means it's personalized. It means it's practical because I see it and I can use it every day. It also aligns with his core values. And there is no way I can look at that Tumblr and not, A, think about what we accomplished, B, not think about Arjan, and also associate it with Allie as well, and the respect and the love that they have for each other. It doesn't have to be expensive. It just has to be intentional. That's what you have to do when you do a strategic gift-giving campaign. I want to make that land. Make your gifts unique, make them memorable, make them usable and specific for the recipient. If you don't, you're giving for yourself. We see our customers as invited guests to a party, and we are the hosts. It's our job every day to make every important aspect of the customer experience just a little bit better. This is by Jeff Bezos. Most of you know him as the founder of Amazon. Depending on when you checked, he's either, if it was last week, he's the wealthiest man in the world, or wealthiest person in the world, at a net worth of over $200 billion. He understands the importance of a customer-centric, business-focused model. So in the next section right now is becoming the connector. And I want you to ask yourself and jot it down in your notes, what is a connector? And this is going to be on page 58. So, a couple things about a connector. A connector is simply someone who is relationship-based focused in their approach to life, people, and business. They have a certain way of thinking and behaving. There's a reason why I put a picture of Arjan here, and it's not brown-nosing. How many times have you been on a momentum call? Have you been on a happy hour? He just did it from stage today, and he introduced you to somebody. How many people do you know that do that? Do you do that? Are you a resource to connect people to other people? If not, start. That's where you proposition yourself to be the expert and go-to. Because what's going to happen is they're going to say, I don't know if Dahlia knows how to do this, but she might know somebody that does. And they're going to call Dahlia. And it propositions you in a place to help more people. And when you do that, referrals out mean referrals in. A couple of things that are really important. What qualities does a connector possess? Okay, the big things are trust. Okay. They also build rapport. To be a connector, you need to have some of these qualities. Every single person in this room has these qualities. You need to understand that. And when you ask for a referral, I need you to know this. This is absolutely crucial. Please do not say, please keep me in mind for a referral. Have you ever done that when you ask for a referral, when you're trying to be a connector? The reason why I'm saying why is because it positions you from a lack of self-esteem and confidence. And by the end of the sentence, it just makes you seem weak and pathetic. And there is not one person in this room or at home that is weak. There's not one person in this room that is pathetic. So what I want you to do is fucking act as if you're the boss that you actually are and come from a position of power in the ask. And when you do that, you're putting your place as a connector. So when you're a connector, what you're actually doing is you are introducing like-minded people that can help each other, okay? This is where the rainmaking rolodex comes into direct play. You're taking in mind of, say for example, you are a family law attorney. You may work with therapists, right? You might work with realtors. Would it make a lot of sense to have a lunch and connect a therapist and a realtor together, even though they have completely different industries? Even though they have the same clientele? They might even work with the same people. When you proposition yourself as a connector, you're building on several different things. And how you do that is several different things, and it's building off the qualities. First of all, you're breaking the ice. You're building trust and rapport. You're showing that you're a resource. You're showing that you have a network and a community that you know, like, and trust. On top of that, you're developing relationships, not only with your customers that you can connect them with, but other referral sources that are just going to compound. And this is a machine. The more you build, the more your name's going to get out there, and the more people they're going to introduce you to, and you're going to introduce them to them. The big thing is, and this is where it's going to get uncomfortable, you got to be authentic. Fear holds us back from everything. The true question is, what are you really afraid of? Are you afraid of rejection? I mean, really, what's the worst thing that they could say is no? And if you're going to kick them business, are they going to ever say no? This is really, really crucial. You got to step outside of your comfort zone. And you don't trust me on this and hear me on this. I'm an introvert. Some of the best salespeople, networkers, and public speakers are introverts. So I don't want to ever hear that I can't do this because I'm shy, or I can't do this because I don't feel comfortable. This is exactly when we take all of our excuses in. I can't hear you. Exactly. So there's no reason why you can't do this. Here's the thing. You also have an abundance mindset. If you do not, if scarcity creeps in at any point in time, you need to get yourself into Unleash the Beast or a mastermind. This will be a roadblock that you cannot overcome until you get past that. Make sure you're working on your mindset. The more you give to give, knowing that it might not come back from the same source, but it's going to come back. When you trust that, it's going to have compounding effects. That's one of the biggest things of a connector. They give to give, and they know it's going to come. They just expect it. Here's the thing, and this is usually where I see people falter most, especially as a connector. It's follow up and follow through. How many people this is a blind spot or a weakness? We say we're going to do something and we really don't. You know what that means when we do that? That. You could have gold, and if you don't follow up and you don't follow through and you don't do it in a timely fashion, that's exactly what you just did with your potential lead or your potential referral source, or doubling your income, or buying that lake house, or taking your family on the vacation. So keep that in mind. Follow up and follow through is key. It doesn't always have to be you. You can delegate it down, but make sure you freaking do it. Because without it, it takes time to build trust. It takes seconds to lose it. And it can take a lifetime to build it back. So when you commit to doing something as a connector, as a bridge builder of people, they're watching everything that you're doing. And if you say you're going to get back to them, or you're saying that you're going to get in touch with them and you don't, what's going to happen? Are they going to trust you? So a couple things. Connector lunches. Have you ever heard of connector lunches? Be honest. Okay. So connector lunches are basically a way to quickly and effectively connect 3 referral sources that you know intimately or not. You just get to know them. That they all make sense. I'm going to use the example that I just did, meaning family law attorney. I'm going to introduce a realtor. I'm going to introduce maybe a mortgage broker, because usually sometimes there's some changing in housing, whether it's renting or buying or selling. And then maybe even possibly a therapist or somebody that maybe a stager, right, to help sell that house faster. Connector lunches are when you act as the liaison and you introduce these 2 to 3 people that have common things and interests and common clients and interest. And you invite them to a lunch. But we are not talking about any lunch. We are talking about Ritz-Carlton white glove service lunches. One of the things that you're going to notice in your workbook, this is already built out for you. You have everything from templates that you can delegate to your team of how they can communicate with the general manager, of how to set up the room the way you want it to be if you do a private room, or I want this table every month for the next 12 months. How many restaurant owners are going to turn that business down? And if some of you are like, Kim, I don't want to eat the same restaurant for 12 months straight, guess what? They have a big menu. You can figure it out, all right? And I know a lot of people in this room and at home, you have spouses that own restaurants or families that own restaurants. Don't be afraid to utilize them. Now it's being a family connection, okay? But if you pick the same place and you set it up in advance and we invite them formally and we introduce them formally, we are setting the stage to proposition you as a complete professional. This is all the difference versus, hey, I want to introduce you to somebody during a happy hour. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's better than doing nothing. But how special would you feel if somebody sent you an email and they're like, I have 2 people you have got to meet. They have been instrumental in my business. And I think you could benefit greatly by meeting them. And I'm going to tell you why. And here's the date next month. I'm going to ask you to reserve it on your calendar. And by the way, there's a formal invitation in the mail. You're going to be receiving it shortly with an RSVP card. I want you to come. And by the way, bring any associates you want, but the one thing I'm going to ask is that you leave your credit card at home. What it would be like to show up and you're greeted by name, escorted by name. Francisco, we have your table ready. It's a pleasure to see you again. Oh, and Mr. Smith and Mr. Doncaster, it's great to meet you. You know, Francisco is an important client to ours, and we have a prefix menu for us. We can't wait to serve you today. What type of experience is that? Right? And there's scripts in the workbook to break the ice in conversation starters. We're giving you everything to set you up for success. The other thing, too, how cool would it be if the bill never came? Because it was already taken care of, because they had your credit card on file. And on top of that, there's 3 little gift cards with their names on it. And guess what else we're doing? We're propositioning to build business for that restaurant owner as well. You want to do this? You want to calendar this out by quarter. Super easy. But you do the same day every single month. You block it out in your calendar, and there's no excuses, and you make sure you have your team accountable, or you get to the back of the room, and we'll help you build it for you. Execution steps. These are in your book. I'm not going to insult your intelligence. You can read them on your own. If you have any questions, I'll be in the back of the room. But this walks you through every single step of the way of how to do this. And most of this, I already just told you. You have a script of the email to send. You have 2 scripts of snail mail emails. You also have a script for your staff member to communicate with the general manager, and then on top of it, you have a thank you card script. You have icebreakers, and if the conversation gets a little stale, yeah, we threw that in for you too. Okay? Including the making introductions.